Happy Friday, Bills Mafia. Welcome to the bye-week episode of the Friday Night Forecast. I am your host, Travis Blakesley. I have joining me today a cast of four. Herm, the Buffalonian. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Hanging in there.
And back again with us, Mr. Evan Zinger. How you doing, Evan?
I'm fantastic, Travis.
Good to hear. And Mr. Cody. How you doing, sir? Thanks for coming back.
Doing well. Good to be here, guys.
All right. For the uninitiated, here on the Friday Night Forecast, we give you our outlooks, forecast, and prediction on the upcoming week. Funny thing is we don't have a game this coming week, so we'll do something a little different. As always, like, subscribe, and share. Follow us on the Cold Front Report on all social media platforms. And if you're not able to catch us live, remember we are available on all audio podcast platforms. So find us over there at the Cold Front Report. Fellas, week 6 was not it didn't go as planned, but there's some things we can take from this. Unfortunately, there's another sour taste in our mouth right before the bye week. Last year proved to be positive. Hopefully we get the same result this week. But let's start on the obvious, that final play. Cody, I'm going to lead off with you. You cool with the fourth and goal, or fourth and one, going for it, or would you like to see something different?
No, I'm cool with it. Listen, I feel like Allen makes that play 9 out of 10 times. You saw his foot kind of kick out. That's football. I mean, to the great quote, you play to win the game, right? Our defense couldn't stop anything at that point. You're a yard away with maybe the best, one of the best quarterbacks in football, physical guy. Go win the game. I mean, I don't know what the analytics say right there, but I loved it.
They're
personally.
In your favor.
I liked it. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, the only thing I didn't like was Dawkins getting his head kicked in, but besides that, I loved the play call. I mean, I don't love the play call. I shouldn't say that. I love the play. Go for it. Go for the win. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, Jared Reed is cool with it. Exactly 9 out of 10. I'm fine with the play call. I think where he went, he was very predictable. And it probably showed up on film. And you saw Simmons cheat inside on the very last moment and blow Dawkins into the backfield. And, the rest is history. Herm, what did you think about the call?
I love the call. I'm with Cody and you. We make the first down. I think we win the game. As he said, also, we hadn't stopped them since the first quarter in terms of on defensively. And I think I looked at a stat that Josh 14 times out of 14 times on a 4th and 1, he was 13 for 14. So,
wow.
The analytics, if you want to go there, were in our favor. But also, I feel if you can't make, it wasn't even a whole yard. If you can't make a yard, you don't deserve it at that particular point. And the Dawkins got blown up big time by Simmons and Josh slipped. So, I like the play. I didn't want the field goal at that particular point. I mean, let's win the game. We're there. You're knocking on the door. So that was my take.
And finally, Evan, what's your thought on that final play?
Basically the same opinion as the other two guys. You also have to consider, even no matter how small the possibility is, I think Ben Baldwin has that 4th down bot or whatever, whether it's it just sort of states whether you should go for it or punt or kick the field goal or anything like that. I think it was 66% chance that the Bills would win if they converted it or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And even just thinking logically behind everything, there's, Allen is I think 29 for 32 in career sneaks, something like that. And then, they're not going to get the ball back if you convert it, more than likely not. If you somehow don't get it into the end zone, you have Bass kick the field goal, and then that goes to overtime. But Bass, as good as Bass is, stranger things have happened. He could miss that field goal, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different variables that you just don't know what could happen. So, it is what it is at this point. I'd like the decision, but just gotta look forward.
Yeah, I agree. Jason Kemp says he hates the QB sneaks. Too many things go wrong. Need to be creative with the running back. I disagree with the running back. I don't want the ball traveling 3 to 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage just to get that extra half a yard. I do wonder if Knox was available in that play. Would they run like an RPO power and then kind of let him slide out of the backfield and let Josh either run it or throw it? You know, when you not to play Monday morning quarterback because, you know, we could sit up here and pontificate all day about it, but maybe when you saw the defensive line crash in, you know, a couple seconds before the snap, maybe back off and have that option. But I think the overarching thing is I liked, you know, we all got on McDermott's case for being conservative against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. And I think, you know, this is the play. This is the call, regardless of the actual play selection. This is the call that teams who generally make it far in the playoffs go with, you know, especially when you have the analytics, you have the players to do it. So, you know, it sucked dealing with it, especially if we have to deal with it for another week. But, you know, it is what it is. Another thing that I think was a point of contention throughout the game, and I know, Herm, and I'm going to start with you. It was for you. Dayball's play calling. You definitely called him out right this time. What do you think of his play calling overall, specifically in the first half with a lot of first and second down runs?
Well, just for the benefit of the listeners and the guys, Travis watched the game with me. We were in the room. So he had the first hand to my commentary as the game was moving along, maybe to a point of being annoying. But we were very predictable. We'd pass the ball, then we'd run on second down, and then we'd put ourselves into a third and long. We converted quite a few times, but then once again, as we moved up and down the field, and the play calling I didn't like, specifically when we want to talk about the red zone, and I know you heard that quite a bit, Travis, but we lead the league in being in the red zone. We're the number one team in the league in the red zone, but we're 26th ranked in scoring touchdowns, which is a problem. There's no way we should be the 20. I mean, look at all the trash, and I'm going to call them riffraff teams that score when they get inside the red zone. We've what's his name? Our kicker is the leading scorer in the league, which is problematic. The number 2 scorer in the league is Derrick Henry by 1 point because he's got 10 touchdowns.
Sheesh.
And our kicker leads the league in points, which is problematic.
Wow.
We're second in the NFL in scoring to the Cowboys, but we're 26th in the league in the red zone. And I think, Travis, you heard it as I said that finishing drives. I think Josh Allen said in an interview after the game, if we finish one more of those drives, we win the game.
Right.
But we didn't. So I think his play calling, once we got inside the red zone, I went and looked at a few of the drives today. We passed, and then we ran on second down. We got stuff. We didn't run the ball well Monday night. So even what happened on that 4th and 1, you can't say it was a portent of things to come because we didn't run the ball with Singletary or Moss. Josh had a few, but we didn't run the ball well, period. And then once we got inside the red zone, I think the stat is that Josh hasn't thrown an interception. I forget. It's a bunch of consecutive games, if I'm correct.
He hasn't thrown a red zone interception ever.
Exactly.
He's only thrown one interception in the end zone.
Right. Now, there was a criticism today in one of the Buffalo pieces I'm reading that maybe you haven't because you're not taking chances down there. Be that, okay, he throws the ball away because there were instances, and I can't say I don't have the opportunity. That was a criticism I read earlier, which piqued my curiosity that you don't throw interceptions because at some point you got to take a risk down there of if a receiver breaks open. But the bottom line is we're 26 in the league in red zone offense, which we're converting at 55.2%. We were 61% in 2020, but the last 3 games we're converting 47% of our red zone opportunities, which is not good. So
Yeah, and we'll get into the red zone in a little bit. But just to finish off those thoughts, Evan, you got anything on Daboll's play calling specifically?
I didn't see, like, when it came to like anything except the red zone, I didn't see much of a problem with it. Weren't as many deep shots down the field compared to some previous weeks. I'm trying to think of how many Josh actually completed. I think just the one, and that was on a broken play. So I'm not going to count it in as a play call. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was the one he rolled out and then hit Beasley in the end zone. And then there was, I think the only time he like really went like really deep was over the middle of the field, like 50 yards down the field. That I think it was, I can't remember which safety it was, but one of the safeties dropped an interception. So
yeah, and Beasley's was only 29 yards too, so
it wasn't like a bomb, you know, right?
Yeah.
But he still, like, Allen ended up playing well because of those play calls, and they ended up scoring, 31 points, regardless of how bad they did in the red zone. So I think there's something you got to take away from that, at least. When it comes to scoring in the red zone, the way I see it at this point, it can't really get much worse. So just be optimistic that it'll get better, honestly. Like,
it better not get worse. You're right.
Yeah.
For sure. Cody, what do you got on the red zone? Or, excuse me, Daboll's play?
Yeah, a lot of it does come down to the red zone, right? I mean, listen, I get a little bit agitated. I felt like against the Chiefs, we did the design runs with Allen, and it worked out great. But I felt like, I know Allen, I think he had 9 attempts in this game. I don't know how many were, design runs or whatnot. But the Titans are a much more physical team, right? It didn't really work out, and a couple of them had my head scratching a few times. I didn't like it. Trying to run between the tackles, I kind of was like, "What are you doing here?" It felt kind of there was no sync to it, and a lot of times, Allen's always looking down the field as opposed to taking those easy shots. I did like that we got Beasley re-involved. He had a nice game. He's been kind of and I know things are game plan oriented, but he's been kind of a ghost the last couple of weeks, and say what you will about that. Gabe Davis did get a couple touches there. So getting those guys involved is great. I felt like our passing game really matched up well with their defense.
Right.
Their cornerbacks are smaller guys. They don't have anybody back there that scares you. Jack Rabbit, he's a slider guy. Caleb Farley went out. Guys were nicked up. I felt like we didn't take advantage of what was there for us. But like Herm said too, and don't want to jump too much into the red zone stuff, but we did move the ball down the field, and then it kind of just, I don't know if it's execution or what, but didn't love it, didn't like it. We passed 2-1. I thought Singletary looked pretty decent, but we went right to Moss, and again, I think that was because the Titans are a physical team. He's the more physical runner. It was all right,
If I can just add one more thing about Daboll's play calling, is that I think one of the reasons why the Bills tend to struggle in the red zone, at least this year, is that so much of their play calling and success is based on the intermediate game. And obviously you don't have that when you're down in the red zone, at least, especially when you're inside the 10. So you have to deal with the short game, and it's not like they have running backs that are necessarily the best power backs or are receiving threats or anything like that. So I think that might be a reason as well.
Yeah, so we'll get into the red zone, and like you said, Evan, we haven't seen really any plays that have been successful behind the line of scrimmage. Where McKenzie filled that role a lot the last 2 years. He was very successful. We don't have the big guy outside of Knox, and he has been successful in the red zone. But again, you can't, when they're dropping everybody and only rushing three guys, and they're playing a zone defense, it's tough. And you can tell that defenses are scheming Allen to roll out to his left. Herm, I know you mentioned a lot. I mean, it's very obvious that when he rolls out to his right, he's money. He's even. I'd argue he's better rolling out to his right than he is in the pocket. But when you get him rolling out to the left, you're shutting down one side of the field because this, is a right-handed quarterback who he's not going to be able to open up his hips to get the ball from the halfway across the field. So it's the play calling was tough. I think that in the beginning, we all know those 2 field goals came to bite us in the ass. But I think the offense was the offensive play calling or the strategy was, it's okay, we'll get down there again, we'll capitalize. And, unfortunately, sometimes it comes back to bite you. And that's what I saw happen. I mean, we had opportunities earlier on in the third and fourth quarter where we didn't really capitalize. We ended up punting, and people want to complain about calls, no calls. It really shouldn't have come down to that against the Titans, in my opinion. So, Herm, just any last things you got on the red zone woes, so to speak?
No, I think as Evan said, and you and I discussed it, once you get in the red zone, the field is concentrated. So everything is packed in there, and maybe we do lack a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, which kind of spreads it out a little bit. Even rolling them out, as you said, rolling them out, trying to get them to the right. But the defensive strategy, obviously, you saw whoever's playing defensive end on the left side, and even in the Kansas City game, they were almost falling back to prevent him from rolling out that way and forcing him back to the left side. So that's a strategy. But as Evan said, too, we put up 31 points.
Right.
But as you say, Travis, and some of my other friends, when they call me greedy, I went back over this game and said we should have been in the 50s. The points we left
on a common theme.
The points we left
absolutely.
on the table. All right, we left 4 and 4 on the field goals and the 7 on the touchdown. And one of those was a penalty. We forget that Knox scored, and that
Sanders got the holding.
Exactly, that was taken off the board. So that was a touchdown, and we get 101 yards out of the red zone. But I'm giving you 20-cent points that we lost. I felt. I mean, as you know, Travis, I'm known as greedy, but or as you say,
you're not
perfection.
wrong.
Well, I feel like you can take away the Knox one, really, or convert that into a field goal like it was before, because the holding penalty was pretty justified.
It was legit.
Oh,
but it's a mistake on our part. They took a touchdown off the board in the red zone.
And then the McKenzie one, much to my incredible dismay, that was just a really dumb penalty on Andre Smith, because at that point,
it seemed like it didn't affect the play very much.
because they were, what the hold was about at the same time that McKenzie had passed him, but the guy who was on Andre Smith, I can't remember his last name's Taylor, I think. I can't remember his first name, but he ran like a 4.9 at the combine, and his momentum is stopped. I don't know why you need to hold him when he's not going to catch a 4.4 guy running at full speed already.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Cody, any last or actually I had a question for you.
Go ahead.
We saw Dawson Knox throw the 2-point conversion. Do you think maybe Dable incorporates, the shot put, incorporates a little bit more trickery or, the finger, don't forget the finger, trickery, gimmick plays? Do you think maybe they'll try some of that to loosen up red zone defenses?
I feel like those plays are great, kind of like when he did it, like it's so out of left field. And I've never been one that's big on those plays because I feel like, it's this guy hands off to that guy and that guy hands off to this guy, and things can go wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like it normally. For me, this offense is elite, right? I mean, at some point, maybe it's just execution and not play calling. I can't make that determination, but like we talked before, this is a Bills team that scored 203 points. That's second in the league to the Cowboys, 205. This is the all-time through 6 games for the Bills have the most points we've ever scored, and we're doing it at a clip that, like Herm said, where we're the 26th out of 32 teams. Like you make a couple adjustments here, and we should have scored another 20 points against Houston, another 20 points against the Dolphins, another 20 points here.
You sound greedy.
It ain't. It's not greedy. It's just
no,
we're not we're not executing to where we can be. And I don't think that's necessarily we should be putting in gimmick plays. I feel like our guys line up better than the opposition here. You have elite wide receivers. Go make it happen. I don't know.
Fair point. All right, let's wrap up last week because
I don't want to talk about last week. They lost.
Yeah.
So
I want to add. I want to add one other stat. In that game, we ran 73 plays to 51, and we had
the opposite of the Chiefs game.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, right? Yeah. I just want to say when we're talking about leaving that game alone, but in terms of our production. We ran 73 plays to 51, which is remarkable, and over 5 minutes more in time of possession, but we lost. So
it's one that you definitely let get away, and I think they know it. It's a strange parallel to Arizona last year. Very very strange parallel where the Cardinals and the Titans are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Yeah, I do want to say I feel like the Titans probably played about as well as they could have against us.
They won't play a better game this year.
I agree, Cody.
They will not.
And we did not do that. And I think that speaks to where we can be. So I'll leave it at that.
So we're the hunted.
Oh,
now.
Yeah.
The Bills are the hunted.
For sure. Before we wrap it up, there was one thing. The defense. I posted a meme today or a GIF of it, and it was like Bills fans watching the defense versus the Titans, and it was I remember you, and there was it looked a little bit like last year where you couldn't stop a leak, we couldn't plug the leak, and I think that I obviously McDermott and Dable believe in Allen getting that half yard at the end, but I think that attributed a lot to the decision. Our run defense was big run aside, you can't take away the yards obviously, but they did a decent job against Henry outside of, him in the red zone, obviously in the big run. But the play action, Tannehill the offensive coordinator decided to run the same type of offense that they ran last year. And the play action sucked up those linebackers. I think Milano, it was clear he's not 100%. He didn't look great. He didn't look himself on the blitz packages and also on those play actions. We'll start with you, Evan. Are you a little concerned about the defense? You think this is just a game plan specific thing? Your thoughts on the defense?
I'm not overly concerned right now because I think, there's certain players. I don't like throwing, the term like generational talents around. I don't like throwing that term around a lot, but there's I like applying it to 3 players in the league at most at a time, and Henry's one of those players. If they had if the Titans had I'm just trying to think who was a really good running back, but not Henry.
Antonio Gibson.
Anybody else?
No, but let's say they had Saquon even. Let's even go Saquon. I don't think that's an issue, because I think Henry's just such an overpowering force that he can get through anybody. Well, actually, I guess Saquon wouldn't make any sense because he's hurt, but same point. So yeah, I think it's just look at this as sort of an outlier and take it from there. Of course, there's still some things you can look at that might be a little bit of concern when it comes to gap fits and things along that nature. But if you have Hyde or Poyer missing a tackle on Henry, that's not something to be concerned about, because it's in a one-on-one situation, do you honestly expect someone to that size to make a tackle? Some are better than others at making a tackle, but I wouldn't bet on it, right?
Right. And Hyde, I thought him and Milano,
Him taking that shot for
yeah, that's a tough one. But Hyde is the kind of guy where the only time you notice him is him making big plays, and then everything else is just he's taking away his defender. And I thought Monday night he was a little below his standard. I mean, again, like that, you don't see him take that poor angle on the touchdown run. That was a little shocking. He had a pass interference where he didn't get his head around. That was a little, out of the ordinary. I mean, listen, the guy's still a Pro Bowl type safety, but there's a couple below average games for him, and below average is good for him. So, Cody, is there anything? Oh, and also Levi Wallace should be cut again. Just that's the thing.
Yeah.
AJ
Brown.
we're back on. But I'm just, you look on Twitter and he's the punching bag yet again. That's going to be a thing, I guess. Cody,
I know EJ. Sorry if I can interrupt. I know EJ will be very happy to hear this, but like Trey White should have given up a touchdown against the Titans, because I think I can't remember whether it was Brown or Jones that was coming across on like a drag route, and he was just there was like no one that was like within like 20 yards of anyone, and it was just like a straight line to the end zone.
It was like the Robert Woods touchdown last year, where he had that drag route, and he
was it Woods or I thought it was Cup last year, wasn't it?
I think they both had one actually.
Yeah.
Cody, what do you got on the defense from Monday night?
I'm not overly concerned. I know we're kind of on Hyde a little bit. That like we were saying before, you can't take away plays. Obviously, that one play was a backbreaker. But other than that play, and like I said, you can't do that, right? But other than that, he's going for 19 carries for 67 yards. Now, obviously, he's got all these touchdowns, but that's 3.5 a clip. I thought they started really well. On that one play, Rousseau got completely sealed off, right? Your linebackers got sucked up. I remember Edmonds ended up on the other side of the left tackle somehow. So, and like you said, Milano wasn't his best day, and he couldn't disengage. So that play was just, that was just a whole, and everybody got
aggressiveness.
Into
the aggressiveness bit him in the ass on that play.
Right, and that's what the play action does for you. I'm not overly concerned. This has been a team that's been very good all year, so you can't take one game and decide to just stomp on them and burn it. I'm okay going forward. There's some things they need to clean up, but that's okay. You got the bye week. Go and do it.
And you also have to remember, if I can add something, that on that run play, the Titans at that point had in their franchise left tackle Deion Dawkins to help block for them.
Can't believe it. How do guys like that get paid?
Yeah. Broussard's an NBA guy, mainly. So
still, whoever decided to put him on an NFL game, shame on them. Herm, there's a lot of talk about the talent level of the teams we played, and maybe that plays into what our defense has been able to do up until now. What do you think? I know we have a weak schedule going forward. Do you think we're going to be able to maintain status quo for 2021, or are we going to see a little bit of a dip in production?
No, you're talking about the team overall, the question.
Defensively. No,
defensively, the most disappointing thing for me in this game was Tannehill coming into the game was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. I think he had 20 sacks. Yeah. And we didn't get him. And we allowed him to move around on some of those catches you're talking about. And I went over a bunch of stuff earlier today. One, I think they said we were in zone defense. When they came across the middle, we had gone into a zone defense. And as you're saying, the linebackers were getting sucked up just on the play action. And then that allowed Brown, like last year, basically. Remember last year, I think he had 13 catches on us or something like that. And it seemed like every ball, they owned the middle of the field on those drives as they were going down the field, or when they needed first downs. You remember they needed first down. It was almost it was almost like automatic. But we also weren't putting any pressure on Tannehill.
Right.
I don't know how many times did we touch him, which was
Twice,
disappointing.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, he was sacked 20 times coming in the game. So I think our expectation, especially coming off of, we made Mahomes move around more than he really liked. We had him very uncomfortable, and he's much more elusive than Tannehill. And we couldn't duplicate that with our pass rush. And so that part was disappointing. But overall, I think that it was an aberration. I like our defense overall. I like our defense moving forward. We're still, I think, 270 yards a game. We're number 2 in the league still with yards given up. But as you said, a lot of people are saying, okay, look at who we played. But we played the last 2 weeks. We played probably 2 of the better teams, the best teams in the AFC. They could say whatever they want about Kansas City's defense, but that offense is still productive. It's very productive. And so going forward, I think I like our defense. I mean, I like it a lot. Milano, this bye week actually gives us a chance to heal a little bit more. Because you remember, who was it? Poyer was coming back off an injury. Milano. And Hyde will be okay. I love our safeties. I mean, I think we have one of the best safety tandems in the league, period. So I like our defense. The defense has been there for us the first 5 weeks of the season. Even in the Steeler game, we lost, but they kept us in that game.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I like our defense moving forward.
All right, moving on. So with that game in the rear view, I just want to bring up the most unfortunate point of the loss is that we have our 2 losses, 4-2, whatever, but they're to AFC opponents. Gentlemen, is this going to affect us down the road regarding seeding and tiebreakers? Cody, I'm going to kick it over to you.
I hate the tiebreaker with the Titans. That one hurts me because I feel like they're going to be a division winner. You have the Bills, the Chargers, the Raiders, Bengals, the Titans all at 4-2, and the Ravens at 5-1. The Bengals and the Raiders really haven't played much of an AFC schedule. They've been playing all those NFC West teams, so they have a lot more AFC games coming up. We have a pretty soft schedule. I don't think it's going to come back and hurt us too bad because I can see us obviously almost running the table. Not to get too far into the schedule, but the Bucs game obviously is going to be a tough one. Playing at the Pats is going to be tough, but does it affect us? Do I like it? No. And do I think it'll affect us? I think it will. I think that Chiefs victory is a big one. But I'm more concerned about the head-to-head loss with the Titans than I am 2 overall AFC losses.
And to your point, the Titans have an easy schedule too.
Right.
And they've gone through their gauntlet for the AFC pretty much. I mean, they have a ton of division games left, and those are gimmies for them. But Evan, you have any thoughts on how this may affect us coming down the line? This may be a point where we might have to play that final week for seeding.
It's just a shame that we don't play Miami the very final week so that we can put in our backups and win 30-0.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to add about Tennessee is that, you can attribute this to like an any given Sunday kind of thing, but remember, you can say easy schedule all you want. They're the 1 and the Jets 1-4.
That's right.
It's parody.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting it's an interesting question to ask whether it hurts or not. This 4-2, the 2 losses hurt because right now, by terms of teams in the AFC, just solely based on how good they are, I'd probably have the Bills below the Ravens. I think I'd put the Ravens at number 1. But the Ravens have a lot harder of a schedule. And then I think it's possible that Tennessee finishes ahead of the Bills in solely in seeding. As in, I think they could finish with the same record, but then tiebreaker. I think that's where it would affect a lot. But of course, if they were 2-3, it wouldn't matter. because only the one gets the bye, right? So,
Right.
So I think it's going to be more based on how much the Ravens are affected by their schedule compared to the Titans or the Bills.
Herm, what do you got on this this haunting question we got here?
Well, one of the reasons I really, and I'm saying me, but also Bills fans, I wanted that Tennessee game is the fact they played Kansas City this week. So if we had put them at 3-3, Kansas City at 3-3, one of them is going to get that fourth loss Sunday. We've beaten Kansas City head to head, and we lost to Tennessee. I, in my opinion, with Evan right there, I think we'll finish ahead of Tennessee, but only the number one team gets the bye. The way it's configured right now. So we got the 2 losses in the conference. Looking ahead at the schedule as a prognosticator, we'll talk about that later. I think that's on the script. But right now having the 2 losses, we don't like them. They're there, but I think hopefully, and I feel this way. Honestly, I'm biased, of course, heavily biased, but I think that we can still end up with the number 1 seed. We do have the head-to-head win with Kansas City. They have 3 losses right now. And as I said, Sunday, one of those teams is going to take another loss in the conference, Kansas City or Tennessee. So if it's Kansas City, they got 4 losses. Tennessee will have 3. So as long as we take care of our business, I think that we'll be all right at the end of the run here.
Yeah, I'm not the head-to-head isn't my biggest concern. I do think it'll come down to Baltimore. I think they are definitely our competition. And listen, you got to win the games that are in front of you. And we really need to hope that Baltimore drops games to AFC opponents, because that's where the 2 losses become a little bit more significant than the head-to-head.
Can I wait?
But,
Can I say one more thing on that?
Sure.
Baltimore. All right. Kansas City doesn't fumble. They lose that game. Baltimore has been really, really lucky. I mean, to me,
to your point, Kenny agrees.
Yeah, no, I don't. They're not that. Baltimore is not that dominant. They lost their left tackle, if I'm correct, this week too, right? He's
Stanley.
Out for the season. They're already decimated at the running back position. I feel they're gonna. Lamar has been.
What are you talking about? They have
like Le'Veon.
I mean, Lamar threw for over 50 yards in the second half of that game a couple of weeks ago.
Not bad for a running back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I'm just not. I'm not convinced with Baltimore. I think they're going to take a fall. But they got Cincinnati this week, so that'll be kind of an interesting game, because the Bengals, to be perfect honest, that offense looked kind of high powered, and I believe they can outscore the Ravens the way they're playing right now. So Baltimore to me is not. They're at the top of the pack right now at 5-1, but they could easily be 2-4 or 3-3 very, very easily right now with some of the they've got some very 66-yard field goal, a fumble by the Chiefs.
Well, it can be it can be considered fluky, but sometimes at the end of the year, the
better
Super Bowl
be lucky
winning
than
team,
good.
Yeah.
We're
2 plays away from being 6-0.
Look at Tampa Bay last year.
You're right. Yeah.
Look how Tampa Bay started last year, and look how they got into the playoffs.
They were just coming together as a team, though. But they had talent.
So maybe Baltimore's just coming together as a team.
Yeah. All these teams
I don't
we're
know.
talking about, and we've not talked about the Chargers yet. They could sneak up there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Ravens just decimated them, but I think they might have a chance to, sneak up on people.
They could be very formidable. I remember when they came back on us last year and Herbert's playing well. You're right. But I think out there, between them and the Raiders and the Chiefs, they'll put some losses on each other within that.
That's my thinking, right? That's why yeah.
At the end of the day, boys, you are what your record says you are.
I've heard that before.
Except the Steelers last year. Worst 11-0 team of all time.
Yeah, of all time, for sure.
All
All right, let's get into our superlatives so far. We'll rattle them off quickly if you want to give a little synopsis on why you think so. Go go for it. Herm, you can start us off. I think we're all going to be pretty much on the same page for at least the offense. But hey, if you want to throw a wild card in, go for it.
No, it's Josh Allen. I mean, there's no question about it. We wouldn't have the wins that we have, without him. So he spread the ball around. So between Diggs, Sanders, Beasley, even Knox, but he's the guy that's been doing the delivering. So he's our MVP by far. And he continues to play like that. He can take that league MVP.
Evan, what do you got?
Don't really have anything to argue with there. Quarterback's most important position in team sports. So if your team has a high-powered offense and your quarterback's like actually contributing like mostly to that, he's the MVP of your offense.
Yeah, that's certainly not. Can't argue with that. How about you, Cody? You got Allen?
Yes, it's Josh Allen. I mean, you don't have who can you substitute him with? On that
Cody
team.
Ford. He's got the same name as you.
Oh yeah, Cody Ford. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We have the same name. Yeah, it's great. No, I wish him the best. Yeah, Cody Ford. Yeah, but definitely Cody Ford.
Well, you just said, "Oh, I wish him the best." It's like, geez, he didn't. I mean, he's not very good, but he didn't die. Like,
well, you don't. What do you tell someone that
his career might have?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, to your point, no one outside of Josh Allen, no one has really. It's been a mix of players where Emmanuel Sanders is probably the most consistent, I would say, across the board on offense. But there's certain games where guys have gone off, and Josh Allen, despite the slow start, because remember his first two games were not too great, he's on pace to have a much statistically speaking, a better year than he did last year. I know there's an extra game, but he's right on par.
On a per game basis, yeah.
Yeah. 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I believe he had 4 at this point last year. I think that was counting that ridiculous call.
The Croft one.
The Rams, yeah. But yeah, I figured it was pretty much unanimous there. Defensive MVP, Herm, start us off.
That was a tough one, to be perfectly. Yeah, defensively, right now, to me, it was Matt Milano. He missed the one game being injured, but I felt he was the best player on our defense consistently through the first 4 weeks. He missed week 5. This week he didn't play that well, but if he plays the way he did prior to getting injured, and in my book right now, he was the best player on our defense consistently, week in and week out so far during the year.
Evan, who's your defensive MVP this year?
Can I chicken out and give co-MVPs? Because I want to just give it to Poyer and Hyde.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they've been more consistent, and obviously the term valuable is a very it's a key phrase there, a key word. As great as Milano's been this season, they were still able to. The defense was still able to play really well against the Chiefs when he was out. So, that's all I can really. I think Trey has had a bit of a down year, and compared to past years, so there's not really much else to say. I mean, there's that one other guy who I feel like I should bring up just because I know some people are going to say him for whatever reason. No, he's. Although someone does need to bring up, did you know that he's 23 and he's in his 4th season?
I promise you don't need to bring him up.
That's good because he's not played very well this year.
Whatever you say there, Evan. Cody, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Evan. I'm not gonna go co-MVP, but I like Micah Hyde. We kind of dogged him a little bit in this past game, but he's already got 3 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6. This guy's only missed 2 games since we brought him over here in 2017. So, we talk about Matt Milano, and yeah, he's had a great year, but he's always good for missing 4 games. I like the dependability of of Micah Hyde, setting that secondary, setting the pace. Poyer's great. But I'm going to give it to Micah Hyde.
It's a good choice.
I'm going to agree with you. I would like to shout out two guys. Taran Johnson is close up there. And as much as you don't like it, Tremaine Edmonds, leader of the defense, baby, made some plays, has been marketably improved.
He had one good game. Granted, it was like an amazing game, but he had one good game.
No, that's not true. Not at all. His play, as far as Edmonds, the one thing I just want to say is he's playing like he knows where he's supposed to go. A lot of times you'd see him half speed, and I thought that was my biggest issue, is him just being half speed, and you get hurt playing half speed, and that's what happened last year. But I'm going to go with Micah Hyde. I think all encompassing. He is although Jordan Poyer is. I think this is a funny thing. We're going to get into our Pro Bowl later. I think Poyer actually will make the Pro Bowl this year as a sympathy for the last couple years because he deserved it. But Hyde, I think he's the leader back there, even though he's not a captain, right? Or is he a captain this year? I can't remember. Poyer's the captain. No? I don't know.
I thought Hyde was a captain.
Either way.
Let's do a quick Google search.
I don't think
really, right?
Yeah, they just have half of a C on each of their jerseys.
Yeah, right. Like with the heart.
Oh,
no. But he's made the big plays. I mean, he's got the pick six in the Chiefs game. Some key interceptions. You know, the Washington game, he had a big interception. He's always around the football, and when he doesn't show up on the stat sheet, it's because quarterbacks don't want to throw in his direction. And that's been a mainstay for the last 4 years. And as Cody said, him and Poyer specifically, they've been on the field almost every game. So
Hyde is a defensive captain.
There you go.
Look at the power of Google. Hey, just with Trey White, I think that again, it kind of reminds me of Stephon Gilmore when he was here. You're not hearing his name. He doesn't have the big picks or anything like that. But I feel like sometimes that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
he's running with
I
the
think this
number
year
one receiver down the field, and you know it's kind of like an offensive lineman. If you don't hear about him, they're doing something good, you know.
I think the problem with Trey White is he doesn't have like elite measurables, so he's not making those plays where you just wow, you know, those wow plays. But he's always going to be a top 5, top 7 corner, in my opinion, is for as long as he decides to play before. You know, this is a guy who may shift over to safety later on in his career. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think he's having a bad year. I thought last year was a little worse. I thought he got picked on a little bit. He was a little banged up, but yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's covering number 1 receivers pretty much game in, game out. Yeah. Most improved, Herm. Who do you got for most improved this year?
Knox, Dawson Knox. He's I mean, that hurts us. I hate to see the fact that he's having a great year. Even in this game, he had the touchdown that was called back by a penalty. But what he had, he got 5 touchdowns going into that game, and also, I mean, not forgetting the touchdowns, but some of the catches he's made. You know, as we're driving down the field, he's been a breath of fresh air in terms of adding to our attack. We already had great wideouts, Beasley in the slot, and to me, that's going to hurt us a little bit. We got Sweeney, who did catch his first touchdown, but backing him up, I saw the other list, 2 guys on the practice squad, and the other one I never heard of, potentially as replacements here in the short term, however long that is. But without question, to me, he is the most improved player of especially of our starting 22 or the reserves. So,
tend to agree with that. What about you, Evan?
For the sake of just being different, I want to say Taran Johnson, because I think for a lot of his career before his extension, I think people gave him a little bit too much credit, mainly because he's just sort of like a McDermott type of guy. So by default, he must be good kind of thing, and that he can tackle really well. And, I like corners being able to tackle, but he was the kind of guy that was tackling well because he was getting beat sometimes. And then, of course, he would have like a great pick six every once in a while. Obviously, there was the one in the divisional game. And then, of course, there was the one in the Pittsburgh Sunday night game a few weeks before that. So I was worried for a sec that they were sort of chasing the splash play in regards to Taran. But this year, I don't think he's had a bad game yet this year. He's been very good. And based on his recent success, I think they were smart in giving him that extension.
Yeah, those were those two guys were on my list for sure. I didn't go with Taran only because I thought his improvement really started at the end of last year. I thought
that's fair.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally see where you're coming from. But I thought him getting benched, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but you saw a different player. And then this year, it's all about consistency, and he's been relatively healthy. But I'm going to have to go with Knox, even though, again, I didn't think Knox was a bad player to begin with. I just thought that it all came together this year. He doesn't have the drops. I think he's credited with one or two, and they weren't. There was that one ball that he was sliding, and it was behind him. And
but he got his hands on it, so
yeah.
It counts.
But I'll take that. But those chunk plays that Herm mentioned, just 20 yards down the field, getting behind the linebackers in between the safeties or the deep corner, he's been money. He's caught everything in those big moments, whether they're easy or hard. He's had that touchdown streak that you mentioned earlier. And he's one of those unicorns where he's big, he's strong, he's fast, and there's not a defensive. There's like 2 or 3 prototypical defenders in the entire NFL that can cover those kind of guys. So he's one of those trump cards, so to speak, especially down in the red zone. Cody, who do you have for most improved?
Yeah, I mean, Dawson Knox, I think, is probably the obvious pick. I'm with Evan. Taran Johnson, I think, yeah, he was definitely getting marketably better at the end of last year. But this is a guy that you knew could come down and kind of play inside the box and stick a guy. And he's like a little pit bull out there. But just watching him against the Chiefs, he was lined up a couple of times on Tyreek. And just watching him playing inside-outside leverage was almost spot on. And it was I can't remember a time last year where he looked that good in pass defense. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with Taran Johnson here. I love the guy. And he's a guy that's, I mean, you're talking 5'9", 5'10", 180 pounds. This isn't a big guy. The way he comes down to the box,
maybe not impressive. A pit bull, maybe a Doberman pincher.
Yeah, whatever you want to call him.
He's shorty.
Aren't pit bulls smaller than Dobermans?
Miniature pincher.
The
little dobies. That's what I mean.
The min pin.
The min pin.
Well, I don't want to give him anything. I don't want to say anything bad about the guy. I like the guy.
Hey,
but
no disrespect to the min pin.
I mean, it just seems like he doesn't really have any. There's no fear there. And we talked about McDermott loving a sure tackler, and that's exactly what he is. But he's kind of like that hit stick. It's fun watching him play. I'm glad he's on this defense. I thought the extension was the perfect time, and let's go. I'm going Taran Johnson here.
All right, so we got a split right down the middle. All right, let's move on to the biggest addition. It could be either free agency or draft, obviously. Herm, why don't you lead us off? Who's your biggest addition?
Well, say draft or free agency, but I mean, right now for me, it's Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders. We've added, he's played. I wasn't sure when we picked him up. I mean, after seeing him with coming from the Saints, I think the Broncos, and then, all right, what did he have left in the tank? And I remember there was some criticism in the offseason when we did pick him up because, okay, you're bringing in another receiver. Who was it? John Brown, we lost him. And or was he the suitable guy to replace him? Because Brown was our speed burner, even though he was injured. He was injured quite a bit, but he was a deep threat. But Sanders, other than it seemed like it took him and Josh a couple of games to kind of get on the same page, because you remember early, even in the Steeler game, I think Josh missed him or whatever. They got their wires crossed a couple of times on some deep balls. But he's been on that other side, because obviously Diggs is going to have the most attention paid to him just by virtue of the year he had last year. And Beasley's there, but he gives us that third option of the receivers, of our starting receivers, and he's done a fantastic job. So I love right now. I love the addition, and it seems like he loves being in Buffalo. So that's a beautiful thing.
Agreed. Yeah, he's definitely exceeded my expectations. How about you, Evan?
I was going to go with Sanders as well. Mainly because, we've been talking about the rookies a lot and how good they've been at points, but I feel like the more accurate way to talk about the rookies right now is you can see the production they can have right now in one game, but consistency is something else. Like we saw, obviously we were singing Russo's praises like mad, because obviously he had the really good interception and he had the game against Miami, but in the other 4 games, he hasn't made like a giant impact. So you can see the stuff there. It's just he hasn't quite put it all together yet, as you would expect from a draft pick. So yeah, I'm going to go with Sanders. And because, he's just been a fantastic number 2 option, and almost to the point this year where, if you didn't know any better, you might think he was, 1A and 1B with Diggs, because he's been doing great.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I do want to add, though, one of the reasons why I remember I loved that they signed him was because I think even more so than the play last year with Josh trunking Kyle Van Noy, he had my favorite play last year where I remember I was joking, I called him to one of my friends one of the league's best punt returners, because this was when Taysom Hill was starting, and he's got like more of a noodle arm than freaking Peterman. So he threw a deep ball, and he underthrew him so much. Sanders stopped, planted, turned around, and caught it like a punt. Yeah,
I remember. That's right.
Yeah.
How does
I'm about to go
Taysom
check out that
Hill
play
make all
now.
this money?
Yeah. I remember the play
signing.
too.
Yeah. To piggyback off of you, for me, it's pretty obvious. Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, he's got 24 receptions. He's averaging 17.2 yards a catch. He's got 4 touchdowns. It seems like he's always good to catch 1 or 2, 20 to 30, maybe even a 40-yard touchdown pass. He's just been outside of that first game, he's just been super consistent, and he's exceeded my expectations. I knew he was going to be a better receiver overall than John Brown, but I wasn't quite sure how much he had left in the tank, and he's proved that he's got a ton left. And let's hope he stays healthy and we'll be able to ride him into the playoffs. Cody, you got anything different to add, or we unanimous here?
Well, I mean, the answer is Sanders, right? But to add on, I'd like to give a shout out to Starla Tooley.
Well, he's not an addition, though.
He did not play last year.
Well,
he's still under contract, but I hear what you're
still
saying.
under contract. But listen, last year, this defensive line was not very good. He has made a big difference. Not somebody that's gonna, get a lot of attention, but he can slide into that one technique. Move out over to a 3, and outside of, I know, the Titans game and looking at what Derrick Henry does to people. It doesn't look that great, but he's been a big addition. He was here 2 years ago, but from last year to this year, he's made that defensive line a lot better.
Definitely can't
But the
argue
answer
with
is Sanders.
I guess an honorable mention, I would say Greg Rousseau. He's been.
Well,
a
I
big
thought about
addition,
Rousseau, right? But I think Evan hit it on the head. just the lack of consistency. But he's a rookie. But I mean, he's played. He's for a number 1 draft pick, and I'm playing on the edge. He's only going to get better. And as he gets even a little bigger, a little stronger, more mature, because he got caught a couple of times on the Henry run, as you guys said. That was just a lack of discipline. And
you got smoke kill Boston on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, that you're right, Travis. I mean, I thought about him, but I couldn't go with. But I also got to say with Cody, I saw an Ed Oliver interview, and he said having Star back has helped him immensely, and we know it has because he's got that that big body right there, right next to him, and but he didn't play last year, so we're getting into the technicality for the
come on,
addition.
Into the weeds.
He was addition by subtraction from last year. So,
all right, we're an hour in,
something like that.
So let's cruise through these next couple ones. Let's just give an overall rating. F through A plus for the offense. Evan, why don't you give us your rating, your grade?
I want to say a B plus so far, mainly because maybe not numbers wise, but pure play wise, Allen's regressed a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then of course the red zone play calling has been a bit of an issue, but of course, you've still got the second most points scored in the league, and second most points per drive as well. So you can't really argue against that.
Agreed. Herm, what you got? What's your grade?
B plus. B plus. I mean, I want the A and the A plus, of course, because I'm greedy. But they've been B pluses. I can't. Evan just hit the right points. We're second in the league in points, with all of the little bit of the flaws that we've pointed out here tonight. And I think we're gonna work them out. And I still feel that we could have the most formidable offense in the league right now, and moving forward. So B plus.
Cody, what's your grade for the offense?
I'm gonna give them an A. Like I touched on earlier, this is the most points the Bills have ever scored through 6 games in their history, with 203. So I would go A plus, but I'm gonna take the plus off because of the red zone. So A.
Yeah, I'm gonna go just a B, and it's all got to do with Herm's thinking. Is I'm giving them a B. Their curve is based on their team, their offense, and this is an offense that could break many records. The slow start in the beginning hurt them. Their red zone woes, and then just a couple misfires by Allen here and there. It's going to happen, and a B for the Buffalo Bills offense is good enough to win most games, but they've left a lot of plays out in the field, and there's definitely room for improvement. So that's why I'm going to go with B. Evan, let's swing it back around to you. Give us a defensive grade.
I'm going to go with B plus again. I think the defense was covered a little bit by the ease of schedule so far. And then they played the Chiefs, and they played great against them. But they did show that they still got a bit of an issue when it comes to stopping the run. So I'm going to say B plus. No, I'll say A minus. I'll go higher.
A minus. Okay.
Yeah.
Herm, what's your grade for the defense?
B plus. B plus. As I think I said it earlier, and to reiterate, I mean, I like our defense, and as a cohesive unit, they've played well. Evan has hit that. Okay, we haven't played some of the level of the talent we played early on, but Kansas City, which is still to me, other than our offense, probably the best offense in the AFC. And we did a great job. And Tennessee, I feel, was an aberration. If we played them again, I think we'd play them a little bit differently and a lot tougher. But and we may see them again. Yeah,
we might be seeing them again.
That's right. B plus.
All righty. How about you, Cody?
Yeah, I like B plus too. I'd go A, because we were great at takeaways, but I don't like the pass rush. I feel like we still, Rousseau's hopefully gets better. If you had somebody like a TJ Watt on this team, it would be, I don't know, it would be great. But B plus.
Yeah, that's all your guys' comments are pretty much in line with how I feel. I'm going to give them an A minus. I think outside of the turnovers, which they come in bunches, and then don't be surprised for a portion of the season where we don't see as many, and then we kind of really see what the defense is made out of. But I just really like how they've been playing as a unit. When guys get injured, other guys step up, and it's as if the guy who they're filling in for hasn't even come off the field. I think they're all playing fast, and they know where they're supposed to be. I thought we saw a few hiccups in the last game. If they came out and dominated the Titans or, gave up 20, 21, 28 points, I'd give them an A+ all the way. I've been thoroughly surprised and not surprised, but just kind of taken back a little bit by the return to greatness, so to speak, for the Bills defense. But, last week they showed some chinks in their armor, but we'll see how that goes forward. Now we'll move on to things on the horizon. Let's go a little rapid fire, just so we're not here all night.
Just to add real quick. Sorry, I'm not going to take too much time, but two zeros we put up. So let's just remember
that's
that.
true.
Yeah, that's true. 2 shutouts. You're right.
Doesn't matter who it is; they're all NFL teams.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough to shut out anybody. You're right.
Herm, what is your toughest game going forward?
Tampa, the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be unanimous one here.
Yeah, you going with Tampa as well?
Yeah.
Cody?
Yeah, the toughest game is Tampa. I think the most important game is going to end up being at New England.
Yeah, that's very true. I kind of have the same sentiments where I don't believe the toughest game on our schedule might not be the most important. I mean, it's an out of conference game, so it doesn't really matter as much. But I'm right there with you. I think as far as opponent wise and their firepower on offense and their style of defense, I think that'll kind of that'll be a tough game. One noticeable change going forward that we can foresee going into the future. I'll go first just to kind of give a description of what I mean. I think we're going to see a smaller defensive line rotation. I think last week kind of shot ourselves in the foot by not playing Basham and Epinesa and instead going bigger. I think what you're going to see is a little bit more like you see in baseball in the playoffs, where that starting rotation shrinks a little bit. And I think they pretty much know who they got, and they've all had enough time playing. I don't think we'll see much of Obata anymore. I think he's kind of proved himself to be that he's a solid player, and if somebody goes down, he'll be great in rotation. But guys like him, maybe I would like to see Harrison Phillip play a little bit more and less of what's his name, the defensive tackle that. Butler, yes. I would like to see less of Butler. I would like to see him go the Trent Murphy route. But, overall, I think we're going to see a smaller, more consistent defensive line rotation. Herm, I'll kick it over to you. What's one noticeable change you'll see going forward?
I think we may do a little bit more blitzing, just to put some more pressure on the passer. Hopefully, as you're saying, all right, if Epinesa gets to play, I think he is a better. We would have been a smaller defense against Tennessee, but as I said, we didn't touch Tannehill, and going into the game, he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, and we made their offensive line look all world because we lacked the pass rush, which it makes it hard on the secondary and the linebackers to cover. So we're going to be playing some teams with some suspect quarterbacks. You want to put some pressure on them. If we can't do it with that front four, I think we're going to have to defensively blitz a little bit more, or not a whole lot, but you're going to need to show some pressure and make these. We're going to be facing some young quarterbacks, make them uncomfortable.
I like it. We've kind of gone away from the blitzing where we started off pretty blitz happy. I understand it for Kansas City. I thought last week we could have done a little bit more. Yeah. Evan, what do you think you're going to see going forward? Some small changes.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Bills tried to trade for some interior line help. I think. As to who?
Offensive line?
Yes. Yeah. As to who in particular, I know the first name that comes to mind for a lot of people is Andrew Norwell, but I don't think he'll be as available to the extent that people think he will be. Mainly because like the Jaguars team or the offense as a whole is a bit of a mess. So you want to keep Trevor Lawrence at least kind of upright. So you want to keep probably your best pass blocker on the team, regardless if you think you can get like a mid-round or a late-round pick for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they might try to trade for some help there because Feliciano and Ford and Butker and whoever the hell else they decide to put there, it's not doing it.
They're definitely getting some pressure, more pressure than we'd like to see. Cody, what say you on noticeable changes going forward?
Yeah, I agree with Evan. I think there's going to be at least one new face in here. I really don't know where that's going to be. But for me, it really comes down to two things I don't like is the pass rush and the red zone. I feel like we're a little bit too predictable in the red zone. We're always going 3 wide. Now, of course, if you're on the 19-yard line, it's going to be a little bit different personnel group than if you're on the 4-yard line. But I'd like to see something change there. They got to shake that up a bit. But, yeah, I don't know. I think there's going to be a decent-sized trade, whether that's interior offensive line, which I like that idea, or I really do think that we need a better pass rusher. And Rousseau might be it down the line, but I don't think he's it right now, personally.
Well, I can agree, but they have so many bodies and money tied up in the defensive line. I think they kind of made their bed and now they got to lie in it. Not disagreeing, but another thing that we
can do it.
Another thing, well, I'd be all Jerry Hughes can go somewhere too, so maybe package.
That's your pet peeve there.
And listen, I got Jerry Hughes' jersey. I mean, but
yeah, no.
The greats.
You don't anymore because now it's Hughes Jr.
Yeah, you're right. I want to get my money back guarantee from that one. Also, one, when you talk about moves, is can anyone see us giving a low round pick to get Hollister back?
I saw that article that mentioned that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be kind of funny, actually.
It would be.
You have to take
How
one
the
on the
tables
chin a
have
little
turned,
bit.
Bean. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he would have been good to have. So anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's just rattle off our predictions for our Pro Bowlers. I'll start. Obviously, Allen's. I think Diggs will get in with name recognition, although I don't know if his numbers will add up to it. I think Edmonds will get in, not necessarily. I think due to his play, but also he has that name recognition, and who knows how the interior offense or linebackers fall. I think Milano will end up earning his. I think he'll end up staying healthy. And I think Trey White will make it based on name recognition. And I think, like I said earlier, Jordan Poyer will earn those honors. Herm, you got a list for me for your Pro Bowlers this year?
I had Allen, Diggs, Milano if he can stay healthy. And I thought my wild card in there was if Knox had continued to play, if he hadn't got hurt, but he's competing against some tight ends that have name recognition, obviously.
Do we know
if he misses 4 games?
Well, they're saying earlier today I read the bone that he broke 3 weeks. So we're off this week. So you're taking a week. They're saying 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
So
metacarpal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but no one in the safeties, huh? No safeties.
It's just because you got these other guys in the league, Ramsey and these guys with names, like you say, name recognition, and they haven't gotten it in the past. But it all depends on how our defense.
I think the tables are turning.
Yeah, if the defense plays the way they did early in the season, and like you said, Hyde's been outstanding from my perspective. We were on him a little bit earlier, but he's as a tandem. I think they're one of the best tandems in the league. But individually, Hyde has, and Cody hit it best. He's also reliable. He's there, and he's been there, and he's also picked off some balls this year too, which statistically people look at the stats. So.
Who's your Pro Bowlers, Evan?
I'm frankly ashamed of all your answers because I think you're all incredibly inaccurate. Because the truth is the answer is going to be 0 because they'll be in the Super Bowl.
I like that. That's good. That's
Okay,
good.
but in all
they'll
seriousness,
get picked, they just won't be out there. They won't.
Yeah,
be playing.
in all seriousness,
but he's right. If they deny it, they don't get the honor.
Yeah, in all seriousness, probably Allen, Diggs, White, based off name recognition, probably Edmonds, because he'll have a lot of tackles and people just don't know how to judge linebacker play at all. Friggin' Patrick Queen was one of the worst players in the league last year, and he won friggin' Defensive Player of the Year last year, or Rookie of the Year last year.
Rookie, yeah.
So, and then I think Poyer gets his first as well.
I like that. All right, let's move on to our season predictions. You don't need, just give me a win-loss record and who the remaining losses go out to. I'll start. I predicted 13-4 in the beginning when me, Evan, and Jeremy sat down and did this. I don't think anything's going to change. However, I don't know. Maybe these were the losses I chose. I can't remember. But I'm going to say the Colts and the Patriots are our 2 remaining losses. I think we beat Tampa Bay. I think we do. But again, that Patriots away is one of those ones that we might let get away. And the Colts as a unit, we saw a little bit last year how they played us close. I don't necessarily love the matchup. I think it's very similar to the Titans, especially with their running game. And, God knows, who knows what Wentz ends up as, but I'm going to go with those 2. Herm, what do you got for the remaining win-loss predictions?
14-3, and the loss I have is to Tampa. I believe we'll handle the Patriots. We can outscore them. That's in my assessment. Mac Jones and their team, they don't scare me. They got Belichick, but I believe we can score on anybody. I believe we'll outscore them. Tampa might present some problems because they can score as well, and their defense is tough. And I think we're about to go on a run like we did last year after the bye. And if we're second in the league. As Cody said, we put up 203 points, and I'm greedy. so I believe that we can. You remember he watched the game. Travis,
if you were greedy, you would say 2 losses. Come on.
No. Well,
greedy for the wins.
We were great. Yeah, that's right. I'm greedy for these wins right now. I feel
that's what I'm saying. No, we're going undefeated, right?
No. Well, no. I feel that Tampa's a formidable opponent. That's the way I look at it. But in terms of, I believe we can outscore. You were with me watching the game Monday night. What I said, I felt we could outscore Tennessee, and we probably should have. We just didn't finish, but they're going to make some changes, as Cody said.
We need to make finish the drive. Finish the drive.
Finish the drive.
I'm surprised.
Right?
I'm surprised when you were talking about what to expect the next little bit. You didn't suggest doing something like trading Wallace and a 6th or 7th to the Browns for Greedy Williams.
I like it.
That's good.
Evan, what do you got?
The teams weren't right, but I predicted a 4-2 start before the bye, and I'm gonna stick to my predictions. Losses against Tampa and the second Patriots game. I just think the Patriots are just gonna be a little feisty. I think that's probably a good word in that second game, and they'll come away with that one. And then Tampa Bay is,
tough.
Tom Brady. Can't really argue against Tom. So
I'm just, I guess I'm being greedy. I just want to vanquish that that demon.
Gosh, one thing that that storyline, if the Bills would have won the AFC Championship game last year, that storyline.
Yeah.
And that disappointment if they lost. It's like
been facing him
Tom Brady can go to an entirely different conference and you still can't beat him. It's like,
that would have been tough. Added in the Super Bowl, not winning. Yeah, that would have been. That would not have been a fun off season.
Guys, that's going to be the Super Bowl this year. Bills and Bucks this year. We're
I've said that.
gonna drop this game to the Bucks this year. It's gonna be 13. We're gonna be 13-4. We're gonna drop the game to the Bucks in a very close game, and then we're gonna get it back in the Super Bowl. But I don't like. I'm with you guys. I don't like that second New England game. It's the day after Christmas, 12/26 in Massachusetts. There's something about it. Division games are strange. The Jets beat the Titans. Things happen. I'm not afraid of the quarterback, but it just could be an off day for us. I'm not sure. 13-4.
Yeah, the likelihood of sweeping the division 2 years in a row. I mean, that's probably a tough feat for any of the good teams in league history. So, yeah, that's it's consensus either way. I think it's going to be close as far as who getting that number 1 seed. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's right.
Home field advantage is nice, but that bye week, especially having the bye week this early, I think our team's going to need it. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get our ducks in a row.
And Travis, I am with you. That Colts game, there's something about them too. And once it's rounding into form, I think that's going to be a tough game.
Frank, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I don't think any. I mean, the crazy thing, and it's kind of like last year, halfway through the season, is there's nobody on the schedule that we can't beat. It's just it's the NFL. So
we're going to be the favorite in every game, other than at Bucks, most likely. Yeah,
you're right. I think we play, and the only one that kind of slipped under the radar is New Orleans. I mean, that's another one that who knows, but I like our chances on. Yeah. I like our chances on Thanksgiving.
Get 3 picks on that game.
Yeah,
hopefully his vision. Kenny here in the comments says, think they might
Carolina. Yeah, it's a sneaky one.
I have to disagree heavily on Carolina because I feel like they started off hot, and then people realized, oh wait, they've basically been playing the NFL's equivalent of like junior varsity teams. Yeah. So
riffraff.
Yeah, and same thing with Darnold too. Like I don't know if I've ever seen a player start to a season more like overhyped than Darnold, honestly, because he played maybe 3 games really well.
It's very a fit start. That's what it kind of reminds me of.
And then since then he's like played like
Darnold.
Yeah,
he's just never going to be the guy that has that it factor. When the chips are down and the game's on the line, it just I don't see it. And he's very pedestrian. He doesn't have any of those elite. He doesn't have one. They kind of talk about like Tua. He's not great at anything. And I feel the same way about that. I felt the same way.
He's playing like the USC quarterbacks. I can go back a long way.
There you go.
The USC
turnovers usually don't shift, or
you don't get better at protecting the ball when you go to the NFL.
Yeah. Because at least I think one of the things with Allen when he was coming out in college, it's like one of the reasons why he didn't throw a ton of picks in college was that he was just missing guys like crazy. So it's just like, hey. No one can catch it, including the defenders. So there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that just about does it. Let's enjoy this bye week as much as we can. You don't got to worry about the Bills. Hopefully your fantasy teams, if you have them, are doing well. Hopefully you make some good prop bets and much of the like. But until next week, Cody, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Until next week.
Enjoyed it, guys.
This has been the Friday Night Forecast, and as always, let's go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.